Alright guys, in Deuteronomy 17 today, and several verses kind of jumped out, and it follows uh, a whole theme. So starting in verse 14 it says, When thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me, like all the other nations that are about me, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose, one from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. So he tells them here in these first couple verses that basically there's going to come a time when you guys are going to ask for a king to be set over you, and you are to appoint the king that I choose for you, and that king has to be from among your brethren. You cannot appoint a stranger, a foreigner. Um, Something to think about there. Barack Hussein Obama, um, you know, supposed to be from within that country. So from within their brethren, the Israelites. So all right. But then in verse 16 it says, But he shall not multiply horses to himself, talking about the king. He shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he should multiply horses. For as much as the Lord hath said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. So he tells them here in this passage that this king is not to basically use his position to multiply his wealth through horses, and that he's not to sell the people back into slavery to Egypt, because God had just redeemed them from Egypt. So, he basically, tells them that, that's not to happen. So in verse 17, Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away, neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. So he kind of goes on here and continues thought and says the king is not permitted to use his position to take more wives or to take more gold and silver. And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of the law in a book out of that which is before the priests the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read it therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, to keep all the words of his law and these statutes to do them, that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Israel. So he tells them here, not only are you not to use your position for your own personal gain, something the Clintons should probably keep track of, but that you're also to keep a book of the law with you, from the Levites, and basically you're to read it daily, to be familiar with it and to understand basically your place in the grand spectrum, that even the king is subservient to God, and that his heart, in verse 20, his heart be not lifted up above his brethren. So we know that Jesus often spoke of the fact that he is no respecter of persons, that God is no respecter of persons, and that regardless of the fact that this guy is anointed and appointed to be king, remember that he spoke previously that they are to appoint the king based on the one that God chooses, that even though this guy is king, that God doesn't see this person above that of his brethren. He tells them that the whole reason for having the law there, and the whole reason for reading the law daily, is so that the king will know, so that the king's heart will not be lifted up, and that he will know that he is not above his brethren. I think there's all sorts of implications here, in our present day and age, kind of showing how we've gotten off track, but also there's a certain amount of church ecclesiology that goes in here as well. We are told to reverence our pastors and our teachers, to respect them and to love them and honor them, but by the same token, this is a position that they were appointed to by God, and that our ultimate focus is to God, and that should be theirs as well. So there's kind of a dual message going on here. First, to the king, that he is subservient to God and that he is not above his brethren. And second, to us, that we are subservient to the king because of our subservience to God. And that as soon as the king goes against God, God is our main focus, he's our main priority. So that's where our loyalty and devotion stays. So I think that's important to realize, that in Romans 13, when we're told that we are to be subservient to government because God appoints government, the reason why we are subservient to government is because of our subservience to Christ. And that as soon as government defies Christ, then we don't even really have a choice. We're commanded to defy those laws. So just because the Constitution sets a standard that says that abortion is legal does not mean that we have the ability to take that kind of stance and say that, well, it's legal, so therefore, we're in support of it. We have a higher standard that we have to live under, and namely that of Christ. And the very thing that makes us the best citizens out there, the fact that we are loyal to our country and our king or leaders or whatever, is specifically because of our devotion to Christ. So something that had kind of jumped out at me there, just wanted to share that with you guys this morning. Alright, God bless.